Robaina sat quietly near the small window of the old house, her thin hands folded in her lap. The morning sunlight touched her face, but it brought no warmth to her heart. This house had once been full of laughter, prayers, and love. Now, it was silent except for the sound of her own breathing and the sharp footsteps of her daughter Law. Robaina was not always this weak. Once, she was a strong mother who woke before dawn, cooked meals with love, and waited every evening at the door for her son, David, to return from work. Her world revolved around him. When David decided to go abroad for a better future, Robaina smiled through her tears. "Go, my son," she had said softly. "A mother's prayers will follow you wherever you go." David left, believing his mother would be safe in his home. With his wife, he was wrong. A wife's cruel route. David's wife, Alina, had changed the moment David's plane disappeared into the clouds. Every morning, Alina found a new reason to shout. "Why is the tea cold? Why are you sitting here doing nothing? Can't you even clean properly?" Robaina never replied. She only nodded, whispering apologies she did not deserve to give. Alina's words were sharp, but her silence was sharper. She made Robaina work even when her hands shook. She woke her up late at night just to complain. She mocked her weakness, her age, her slow steps. "You're a burden," Alina once said coldly. If David were here, he would understand. But David was not there, and Robaina had no one. Pain without witness days turned into months. Robaina's body began to fail her. Just like her heart, she stopped eating properly. Her sleep was broken by fear. Sometimes, while washing dishes, she would suddenly feel dizzy and grab the wall to stop herself from falling. Alina never noticed, or perhaps, she did, and didn't care. One night Robaina collapsed quietly in the kitchen. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the house. Alina rushed in not with concern, but anger. "Look at this mess," she shouted. Robaina lay on the floor, tears mixing with blood from her hand. Alina stood there for a moment, then walked away. That night Robaina prayed, "God, protect my son, and if this is my fate, give me strength to bear it." A son, far away, thousands of miles away, David sat alone in his small apartment, staring at his phone. He had called home many times, but Alina always answered. "Mother is fine," she would say quickly. "She's sleeping, she's busy, she's praying." David trusted her. But that night, something felt different. His heart felt heavy, as if his mother was calling him without words. The beginning of truth. A week later, David received a message from a neighbor back home. "David, your mother is very sick. She cries a lot. Please come if you can." David's hands trembled. "Sick," he whispered, but Alina said she was fine. That moment was the beginning of everything. Robaina's illness did not arrive suddenly. It grew quietly, just like her pain. Every morning, her body felt heavier than the day before. Her legs trembled when she stood. Her chest felt tight when she breathed. And yet, she forced herself to move. She knew if she stopped, Alina would not show mercy. That day, Robaina tried to make breakfast with shaking hands. The spoon slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor. Alina turned sharply. "Are you trying to annoy me on purpose?" she snapped. "I'm sorry," Robaina whispered, bending down slowly to pick it up. Her back screamed in pain, but her lips stayed silent. Alina rolled her eyes. "Sorry doesn't fix anything." A body that couldn't keep up. By afternoon, Robaina's fever returned. Her forehead burned, but she had no strength left to complain. She lay down on the thin mattress in her room, staring at the ceiling. She remembered David as a child, how he used to run to her when he had even the smallest fever. "My mother will fix it," he used to say. A tear slid down her temple. "Where are you, my son?" she whispered. Cruel words, deeper wounds. Lena entered the room without knocking. "Why are you lying down?" she asked harshly. "The house is a mess." "I don't feel well," Robaina said softly. Alina laughed, a short, cold sound. "You're always not well. You think sickness is an excuse to escape work." Robaina tried to sit up but failed. Her vision blurred. Alina stepped closer, lowering her voice. "If you tell David anything, remember, he's my husband now. He won't believe an old woman." Those words hurt more than any illness. Robaina closed her eyes. A neighbor's concern that evening. The neighbor, Mrs. Collins, noticed the lights were off earlier than usual. Something felt wrong. She knocked on the door. Alina opened it, clearly irritated. "Your mother-in-law doesn't look well," Mrs. Collins said carefully. "I heard her coughing all night." "She's dramatic," Alina replied flatly. "Old people exaggerate." Mrs. Collins looked past Alina and saw Robaina lying still in the background. Her heart sank. That same night, Mrs. Collins sent a message to David. A son's sleepless night. David read the message again and again. Very sick, cries a lot, please come. His chest tightened. He tried calling home. No answer. Then Alina messaged him. Everything is fine. Don't worry so much. David stared at the screen. For the first time, doubt entered his heart. Why did the neighbor's words feel more real than his wife's? That night, David couldn't sleep. He remembered his mother's tired voice from their last call. How short it had been. Something was wrong. The decision by morning. David had made up his mind. He applied for emergency leave. His hand shook as he booked the ticket. He didn't tell Alina. I'm coming home, Mom, he whispered to himself. Just hold on. A mother fading back home. Robaina's condition worsened. She stopped eating completely. Her breathing became shallow. Alina noticed, but, instead of fear, there was annoyance. She's doing this for attention, Alina muttered. But deep inside, a small voice whispered something else. What if she dies? Alina pushed the thought away. The front door opened quietly. David stood there, his suitcase still in his hand, his eyes searching the house he had once called home. Everything looked the same, yet felt painfully different. The air was heavy. The silence was unnatural. Alina, he called out. She rushed from the kitchen, shock flashing across her face. David, you didn't tell me you were coming. Her forced smile did not reach her eyes. Where is my mother? David asked immediately. Alina hesitated for just a second. She's resting, she said quickly. She's fine. David didn't reply. He walked past her. A son meets the truth. David pushed open the door to his mother's room. Robaina lay there, thinner than he remembered, her face pale, her lips dry. For a moment, David couldn't breathe. Mom, he whispered. Her eyelids fluttered. Slowly, she opened her eyes. David dropped his suitcase and rushed to her side, holding her fragile hand. My son, Robaina breathed. A weak smile touched her lips. You came. Tears filled David's eyes. What happened to you? He asked softly. Why didn't you tell me? Robaina looked toward the door, where Alina stood silently. I didn't want to worry you, she said gently, but David could see the fear behind her words. The neighbor speaks. Collins arrived later that day. When she saw David, relief washed over her face. I'm glad you came, she said quietly. Your mother has been suffering for months. David turned to her, confused. Suffering? Alina said everything was fine. Mrs. Collins hesitated, then spoke with courage. She was made to work, even when she was sick. She was shouted at. She cried almost every night. David felt something break inside him. He slowly turned toward Alina. Is this true? Alina opened her mouth, but no words came out. Hospital walls and heavy truths. Robaina was taken to the hospital that evening. The doctor spoke calmly, but his words were heavy. Stress, neglect, exhaustion, he said. She needs care, love, peace. David nodded, his jaw clenched. As Robaina slept, David stood outside the room, staring at the floor. Alina approached him carefully. She never complained, Alina said defensively. I didn't know it was this serious. David looked up at her. Because you never wanted to know. Those words hit harder than any slap. A son's courage that night. David made a decision, one he never imagined he would have to make. At home, he packed Elena's belongings, silently. What are you doing? She asked, panic creeping into her voice. You can't stay here anymore, David said firmly. Not after what you did. I'm your wife, Alina cried, and she is my mother, David replied, the woman who gave me life. For the first time, Alina felt fear. A mother's weak voice from the hospital bed. Robaina sensed something was wrong. David, she whispered when he returned. Don't fight because of me. David held her hand tightly. I should have protected you, he said, tears falling freely. I'm here now. Robaina closed her eyes. That was the first night in months. She slept peacefully. Alina stood outside the house with 2 suitcases and nowhere to go. The same door she had once slammed in anger was now closed to her. For the first time, the silence didn't protect her, it punished her. David's words echoed in her mind. Not after what you did. She walked slowly down the street as night fell, each step heavier than the last. Loneliness hits hard. Alina rented a small room in a crowded building. No comfort, no warmth, no one waiting for her. That first night, she couldn't sleep. The quiet reminded her of Robaina's quiet. She remembered how Robaina used to wake up early, how she folded clothes neatly, how she never raised her voice even when she was hurting. Why didn't I see it? Alina thought, or worse, Why didn't I care? Asterisk. A mother begins to heal at the hospital. Robaina slowly began to recover. David never left her side. He fed her with his own hands. He helped her sit. He whispered stories from his childhood, trying to bring back her smile. You're here now, Robaina said softly one evening. That's enough. David shook his head. No, Mom, it's not. Tears fell from his eyes. I left you alone. I trusted the wrong person. Robaina placed her hand on his cheek. Forgiveness brings peace, my son, she whispered. Asterisk. A wife's breaking point. Days passed. Elena's pride began to crumble. She missed the house. She missed David, but more than that, she missed the woman she had hurt. One night, she broke down completely. She sat on the cold floor, hugging her knees, sobbing. I'm sorry, she cried into the darkness. I didn't know how cruel I had become. For the first time, she prayed not for herself, but for Robaina. Asterisk. The apology begins. Elena gathered her courage and went to the hospital. She stood outside Robaina's room, afraid to enter. David noticed her. You shouldn't be here, he said coldly. Elena lowered her head. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quietly. I just want to say sorry to both of you. David hesitated. Then Robaina's weak voice came from inside. Let her come. Tears that spoke the truth. Elena stepped inside. The moment she saw Robaina, guilt crushed her. She fell to her knees. I hurt you, Elena sobbed. Every day. I was cruel. Please forgive me. Robaina looked at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, she spoke. Hate makes us sick, Robaina said gently, and love heals. She placed her trembling hand on Elena's head. I forgive you. Elena cried harder than ever before. The hospital room felt different that morning. Sunlight streamed through the window, touching Robaina's face gently, as if the world itself was apologizing to her. She breathed more easily now. Her eyes, once filled with pain, held a quiet calm. David sat beside her, holding her hand. You're getting stronger, Mom, he said softly. Robaina smiled faintly. Strength comes from peace, my son, not medicine alone. David understood what she meant. A wife who returned changed. Elena stood near the door, unsure of where she belonged. She had not slept much the night before. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her heart heavier than it had ever been. The forgiveness Robaina had given her was not light, it was heavy. It forced her to see herself clearly for the first time. I'll leave if you want, Elena said quietly to David. I just wanted to make sure she's okay. David looked at her for a long moment. You hurt her deeply, he said. Forgiveness doesn't erase that. I know, Elena replied, her voice trembling. I don't deserve another chance, but if I'm ever given one, I won't waste it. Robaina listened silently. Then she spoke. Pain changes people, she said gently, but regret can change them again. She looked at Elena. If you truly wish to stay, then stay with kindness. Elena broke down, covering her face as she cried. I will, she whispered. I promise. Returning home when Robaina was finally discharged, David took her home not to the old life, but to a new beginning. The house had been cleaned. Fresh flowers sat on the table. The air felt lighter. Elena moved carefully, respectfully. She cooked meals, brought medicine, spoke softly. She never raised her voice again. Sometimes, David would watch her quietly, unsure if this change was real. But change, when genuine, shows itself in actions, not words. Asterisk. A mother tests the truth. One evening Robaina dropped her glass of water accidentally. It shattered on the floor. She froze. For a brief moment, old fear returned. Elena rushed forward. Are you hurt? She asked, kneeling immediately. She cleaned the glass with her own hands. Then brought Robaina another glass of water. I'm sorry, Elena said sincerely. Please rest. Robaina's eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but relief. That night, she prayed not for protection, but for gratitude. A son finds peace. David finally felt something he hadn't felt in months. Peace. He watched the two women, his past and his present, sitting together quietly. No shouting. No fear. Just silence filled with understanding. I was brave to stand up, he thought. But courage means nothing without mercy. He realized something important. Choosing your mother is not abandoning your wife, and loving your wife should never mean hurting your mother. Balance was the true strength. Asterisk. The final apology. One night, Elena sat beside Robaina's bed. There's something I never said properly, Elena said, her voice shaking. I was cruel because I felt powerful. I forgot you were human, that you were someone's everything. Robaina reached for her hand. We all learn, she said softly. Some lessons are painful, but they save us. Alina bowed her head. Thank you for saving me. She whispered. A new morning. Months passed. Robaina regained her strength. She laughed again. The house filled with warmth once more. Alina became someone else, patient, kind, humble, and David became the son he should have been from the beginning. On a quiet morning, Robaina watched the sunrise from the same window where she once sat in silence. This time, she wasn't alone.